All right, guys, we are going to learn about formulas because that's pretty much what makes Excel amazing is the formulas. Okay, so first off, there's something called a manual formula, right? Or maybe like a simple formula. Okay, so don't tell your math teachers I taught you this because you can definitely cheat in math if you know how to use this. Okay, so profit is price minus cost. Okay, so that's a business thing. So I'm going to hit the equal sign, right? So I'm going to type equals. So that automatically lets Excel know, hey, I'm starting a formula. Okay, now I could just type in, right? So if I wanted to, I could type in 299 minus 125. But the problem with that, it's going to give me my number, right? But let's say I decide to start charging $3.99 for my Twinkies. It doesn't change the formula, right? So that's why we want to actually manually click on this cell that we're doing the math with. Okay, so for instance, right, I want to do a formula, so I'm going to hit equals. I'm going to click on the cell that I'm wanting to be the first part, right? So it's a placeholder. So B5, it'll always take B5. And then I'm doing minus, right? So type in minus and then cell C5. Okay. So now I'm going to hit enter. So now it gives me my profit, right? And then watch this. When I change $3.99, I'm going to change it back down to the $2.99. It automatically updates, right? Because instead of drawing a number, it's drawing from the cell. Okay. So that's how you do like plus minus things, manual formulas, right? I can type in any formula as long as I'm using the correct like parentheses, annotations, things like that. Okay. So the other thing though is let's say I have a lot of numbers. Okay. I have this option in the bottom right. It's a small green box. You guys see that? When I hover over it, it turns into a skinny plus sign. That's the autofill option. Okay. So I'm going to click and drag down and it's copying my formula down each row. Okay. So B5, C5, right? Click on the next one. It's B6, C6. Okay, so it's automatically copying. It'll also copy with the autofill, it'll also copy patterns. Okay, so for instance, let's say I have January and February, right? And I don't want to type in the rest of the months. I'm going to let it know there's a pattern by selecting these two, and then I'm going to click the autofill, and I'm going to click and drag down. And it automatically does all my months for me. Okay, so Excel can be pretty smart if you know how to use it. Okay, so that's just like if you were to do a manual formula. Okay, the other option is if we know that there's a certain formula we want to do, right? I don't want to type in, like I could theoretically type in equals and then do parentheses and do this plus this plus this plus this, close parentheses, divided by 4, right? Because there's 4, and that would give me my average, right? But an easy thing we can actually do is I am on the home tab and over to the far right editing group, I have the Autosum. If I click that drop down, it's going to give me some common ones. Okay, and so I know average is a common one, right? So I'm going to click average. It automatically selected what I was trying to average out. Sometimes it won't select what you're looking for, so you can just delete what's in there and then click and drag what you're trying to average. Okay, then I hit enter, and it automatically puts that formula in. And then if I want to do the auto sum, right, click that small green box, drag it down, automatically did average for all those. Okay. Another common one is max. Okay. So max just means it's going to always choose the highest test score, right? Or the highest, in this case, the highest from the selected range. So I'm going to click that drop down, click on max. Okay, now the problem you can see with this is it's automatically selecting average, right? I don't want to know the average, so I'm just going to minus the F4 and put E4, right? Oh, whoops, screw that up. Okay, so I just have to manually select the ones that I want, enter, and then I should be able to just copy that formula down. It's going to give me the highest score from each group. Okay, and then also I can do the min, right? So drop down, click on min. Again, I don't want that G4, right? I want it to be E4. So I delete that G, I can just replace it with the E4, enter. And then again, I'm gonna just autofill. Look at that, Mr. Cornia is so smart. He gets 100 on all of his tests. So one day, maybe you can be like me. Okay, later on, we'll get into more intense formulas. We have this formulas tab up here. Something to always remember is that you can look up the different formulas, right? So if I know what type of formula it's going to be, I try to choose, okay, is it a logical formula? Is it a type of text formula, right? I can also use what's called the count, right? So if I want to, let's say I want to know how many tests I gave out, obviously I know right now because it's a small number, but equal, right? And I know it's some sort of counting one. So I can either, let's actually just do this insert function, and like I can see the different options, right? So I know that it's something to do with counting. So I'm going to search for something count. These are all my count ones, and I can see what it does, right? It tells me what each one does. So this one counts the number of cells in range that are not empty, right? Normal count is one that contains numbers. So there's different, it depends on what your data looks like. But like in this situation, I'm going to use just the normal count, right? And it's going to count from B to H4, but instead of H4, what we want E4, right? Click OK. It automatically counted which ones had numbers, and then from there, it automatically gave me a count, right? So those numbers should all be the same. Okay, so that's kind of it for basic formulas and how you use them.